Sorry to disappoint you. So what was your expectation? Nah, I'm just an everyday dude. Oh, you expected perfection? This is what Christianity is supposed to be like. I make mistakes, like lots of mistakes. I'm just trying to do the best that I can do. I guess I'm just imperfectly human. Welcome to season 2 of the Imperfectly Human podcast. I am your host, Mr. Daley. And in season 2, I guess you just got me. It's me on my own for season 2. But hey, that doesn't mean that you are going to lose out on this season. Season 2 is focused on my journey as an entrepreneur. I'm going to be talking about the life of a Christian entrepreneur, the challenges that we face as entrepreneurs, the ups, the downs, the wins, the losses, everything in between. And before we get into it, I just want to thank everyone that was involved in season 1 of the Imperfectly Human podcast. I want to give a big shout out to Dr. Terrence Johnson of iProgress. iProgress has still got some big things coming this year, so please tune in. Keep following them on social media. Join their Facebook groups, all of those things, and support their endeavors. I'll be working with them through my digital media agency, should I say, Yellow 8. If you're not following me on Instagram, that's Yellow 8 Design on Instagram. You can also go to the Yellow 8 page on Facebook, and you can also just Google Yellow 8, and hopefully we should be one of the top ones that come up. If we're not, I'm doing something wrong. But yeah, if you Google Yellow 8, you can connect with me there on our Google page, and then that's got numerous links. You can also find Yellow 8 Design, that's Yellow 8 DSGN on Twitter, so you can connect there and talk to me on Twitter. So anyway, that aside, welcome back. This is season 2. As I said, this focuses on the entrepreneur journey. This episode is called Entrepreneurs Do Not Fail. Failure is something that I find fascinating. It's a topic that intrigues me because many entrepreneurs are scared of failure, or what the world defines as failure. And I don't think, if you're a true entrepreneur, I don't think you should fear it. I don't think it's something you should be afraid of. I think it's something you need to conquer. Our fears are something that we need to conquer in order to move forward in any journey in life, and entrepreneurship is no different to any of those journeys. We need to conquer our fears in relationships. We need to conquer our fears in our personal growth, in our spiritual life, in our personal development, in our careers, in parenting. Whatever it may be that we are afraid of, we should not be afraid to conquer them. Fear is something that holds us back. I've said it numerous times in season 1. Fear is false evidence appearing real. And if we allow that false evidence to hold us back, we never conquer what stands in front of us, the obstacle that we should be able to overcome. I want to shout out to the people that are listening on Spotify, on Transistor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, TuneIn, wherever you may be listening from. I want to shout you out. So, failure. Now, let me just give my personal journey, my personal experiences. Failure, or as the world defines it, is something that I am no stranger to. Now, people might turn around and say, well, that means you're a rubbish entrepreneur. I beg to differ. I've had successes. I've had good runs. I've had things that I would consider epic failures that have cost me significantly. They've cost me some of the most dear things to me. They've cost me in massive ways. I've almost lost friendships. I've lost certain relationships as a result of them. And I guess the most important thing is that I've learned from each one. And for me, that is why I believe entrepreneurs do not fail. So let me define what, in my eyes, so there are two definitions. Let's go with this. There is what we perceive today as a secular definition of failure. And that definition of failure is that when you try something and it doesn't work, that is failure. It means you do something and it doesn't succeed, or it's not counted a success in the secular world, or in the eyes of the people around you. They deem that as failure. Now, I believe that that is a very simplistic view of what failure is, because in my eyes, failure isn't doing something that doesn't work. I see that as a learning opportunity. Failure in my eyes is doing something, seeing that it doesn't work, falling over, I guess. Seeing that it doesn't work, to me, is falling over, and deciding that because of that pain, because of the injury, because of the outcome of that falling over, you will stay on the ground and you will refuse to get up. You refuse to dust yourself off. You refuse to move on. You refuse to grow. You refuse to learn from it. Now, I think naturally there is a time for, I guess, grieving. Because everything, when we fall over, when we hurt ourselves, or when a project does not go in the direction that we expected it to go, therefore, when it doesn't succeed in the eyes, or in the secular terms, there is a period of grieving that we need to go through. We definitely need to grieve. We definitely need to understand why it didn't work. We need to, I guess, mourn the loss of that project, or whatever it may be, or that endeavor, because that is just a natural process, because we have put energy, effort, money, resources, whatever it may be, into that project. And therefore there is a level of pain that comes with it not succeeding. But at that point, once we have grieved, there is a process that we need to step into, which is learning from that fate, or from that incident, from that injury, from falling over. And when we do that, we need to be honest with ourselves. So, did we fall over because we lacked knowledge? Did we fall over because we were overconfident? Did we fall over because we were careless? Did we fall over because we mismanaged our finances? Did we fall over because we tried to grow too aggressively? Did we fall over because we didn't understand our segment, our competition? Did we fall over because we lacked an understanding of our basic market sector? Did we fall over because we didn't ground ourselves in understanding what the strengths of our proposition were? So what was our proposition flaky? The benefits, or the USP, or whatever it may have been, did we truly fail, or did we fail to really assess it and understand it, and therefore we offered a weak proposition to the market? Was that why we fell over? Did we fall over because we tried to do everything by ourselves and we didn't engage the right resources at the right time? Did we fall over because we trusted the wrong parties and we got into the wrong business relationships? We need to do a critical self-assessment. And I guess in the IT world, we would call that, I guess it's similar to a post-implementation review, or a or whatever you want to call it, in the agile world, they would call it a retrospective. So after delivering functionality, you review the sprint process, you review the sprint, sorry, and see what went well, what didn't go well, what you could have improved, lessons you can take on from that sprint into the upcoming sprints, and so on. We need to do the same with projects when we fall over, or with our endeavors when we fall over. And I would encourage you to do that anyway. Any project that you have, any endeavor that you have, even if you deem it a success, still have that post implementation review. Understand what you did well and what you didn't do well, so you can do less of the things you didn't do well and more of the things that you did do well. How do you take your strengths and turn them into a repeatable process for success? It's just one of the fundamental things you should do as an entrepreneur. You should never be afraid to critically assess yourself. I have had to critically assess myself and understand my failings. I keep saying failings, my shortcomings. That's what I would define them as. I've had to critically assess myself. I've had to challenge myself. I've had to ask myself where I went wrong. Who did I trust that I shouldn't have trusted? Where was I ignorant? Where was I overconfident? Where did I lack the business acumen to deliver on a promise, or on I don't know, how should I put this? Where was I careless? Where did I fail to assess for my strengths, my weaknesses, the opportunities and the threats? So where did I fail to do that SWOT analysis? And forgive me if I'm just throwing some standard business terms at you that you may not understand or you may not be aware of. If there is stuff that you don't know and you would like me to talk about from a, business perspective, please let me know. Send me an email, david@dailyperspective.co.uk. Send me an email, or you can, if you want to engage me professionally, send me an email, david@yellow8.co.uk. But if there's stuff that you want to talk about, if there's stuff that you want to understand, let me know, because again, knowledge is power, and understanding things about business, understanding things about branding, about marketing, about all those areas is important as an entrepreneur. I think that in this day and age, we can become overconfident because technology can make us overconfident, because of the wealth of technology that we have at our disposal, and the way that the creators of certain technology, it's called good marketing, make the technology seem to work. We believe that there are areas or specialist areas that we can take on ourselves, and therefore we do not need to engage the services of a professional or an expert in that area, and therefore we do a suboptimal job in that area, and it can cause us to fall over. So, personal example, where have I made these mistakes? I think I have made these mistakes in the past. I made these mistakes in branding. I don't do that anymore because I always engage a professional in the area of branding, and I work with a consultant who can help me understand branding. My business profile was something that I didn't think about, or my business persona, should I say. I didn't think about too much at the beginning until I worked with someone who was, a specialist, not in the designing the graphical elements of my brand, but more the characteristic and the persona that I wanted my brand to have, and what influence that should have on the endpoint, the graphical branding and the colors and the schemes, the voice of the brand, all of those things play a major part in positioning your brand and your product to your prospective audience. So that was something that I didn't know at the beginning and I had to learn. I worked with a specialist, and now that I do know it, I don't necessarily need a specialist, but I still engage them when and ask questions when I need to. So I guess in the beginning, the amount of interaction I have with them, it used to be significant. Now it's reduced because I've learned from them. Again, knowledge acquisition is an important thing. Never be afraid to continue learning. I believe life is about continuous learning, and any successful entrepreneur, any entrepreneur that is that doesn't fail, does this because they are not afraid to continue learning. They realize that learning is a continuous process that happens throughout life, and they embrace that and they run towards it with open arms, and they embrace the knowledge that they can gain from books, from seminars, from webinars, from networking, from speaking with their counterparts, and their even learning from their competitors, learning from mentors. It's important to have a mentor in your life. There are people out there who have done this, who can engage you and encourage you, and most importantly, a community of entrepreneurs. Sign up to a program that has a community of entrepreneurs that you can learn from. And I think further down the line in season 2, I'm going to do a review of a community of entrepreneurs that I believe there are pros and cons. There are pros and cons to it. And I'll explain when I do that review, but I'm not going to give you any spoilers now because we're talking about something else. But there is a community that I'm part of, that I engage with, and I learn from. But I guess the entry point for me is the important part, because there are principles that they teach you that I think a lot of people need to learn. Now, I already knew these principles, but it was nice to have something reaffirm those principles to me. So again, going back to my story, yes, I failed in the eyes of the secular world, but in my eyes, I fell over and I got up. There were, I guess the biggest fall, I stayed down for a while. I really did, because it was a tough one. It was a tough one. It was a costly one. And I had to work through it and process it in my head, but I stayed down. But eventually I dusted myself off, reassessed everything, looked at where I made mistakes, looked at what I could improve, and started to put together a framework for how I do make sure I do not make those mistakes again. So, as I said, my current world, or you guys know me for the Daily Perspective Network, which is a media brand that I'm trying to build and grow. It's what brings these podcasts to you. It's what brings a daily perspective to you. It will be bringing other programming. So you can find out about those on the dailyperspectivenetwork.co.uk. But it's going to be bringing new programming to you at some point. It is my media channel. It is where I will be sharing information. We have the YouTube, we have the podcast, we have the Facebook page, we have the Twitter profile. Again, we leverage social media because I understand the importance of connecting with my audience and connecting with the people who will help me grow this. So that's one. Yellow 8 is, as I said, is my digital marketing, and I don't want to limit it to that, but customer user experience and analytics business. It's about growth. It's about helping people move their brands, their organizations, their businesses from where they are to where they want to be. And again, this is important. As an entrepreneur, learn to use the skills that you've gained in numerous areas to create the life that you want to create. I created Yellow 8 because I was tired of my professional career. I was tired of what I used to do because it lacked that creative element. So I started to slowly carve out a new landscape for myself, and I took the elements of my professional career that I enjoyed, and I took the skill sets from there and I fused them together with my creative side to create Yellow 8. So what I do is I help people with functional design. So designing how websites work and how the customer interacts with the websites and how to make sure the user has the most optimal experience. We do that with software. I help them with digital marketing, and that's really about bringing customers to their products and to their services. And the best ways to do that using social media, or whether that's paid advertising, whatever it may be, whatever the media is online that we need to use to get customers to their products, that's what we do. And then analytics, it's about creating a feedback loop. It's about understanding the activities that you've carried out in the past and learning from them. So it's that test and learn process and feeding that back into your life cycle, into your journey, so you have a user life cycle, you have a service life cycle, a product life cycle, you have a data life cycle. There are so many life cycles involved in your business, and understanding each element of those helps you to develop a stronger, more optimal business that can survive and weather the storms. These are things that I do. These are things that I took from my professional world and I brought into my new creative space to create the landscape that I want. That is what entrepreneurship is about. It's about seeing a gap and using skills that you have to fill that gap. So that is one of the reasons why I believe entrepreneurs do not fail. But I'm gonna share a few. So there are two things I want to do before I wrap this up. I want to share with you a few examples of entrepreneurs that people would say failed, but I say they fell down and got back up. So I did some research, and forgive me because I'm going to be looking away from the camera for a bit. I'm going to be looking at my screen, but let's just dive into this and just share the journey of some of these people. So we've got 10 entrepreneurs here who in secular terms, people would say failed before they succeeded. So Nick Woodman, he had a startup called Funbug that ended up failing big, and $3.9 million of investment was lost. Nick was devastated, went on a surfing trip, and whilst he was there, he got the idea for the GoPro camera. And now everybody knows about GoPro action cameras. He spawned a new world. There are so many other cheaper, lower end action cameras based off his idea of an action camera. GoPro was his idea, and that was born whilst he was, dusting himself up from falling over when his first startup failed or ended. Nick is now worth 2.25 billion. And he has a good quote. Fear is a disease. Hustle is the antidote. Whatever it is that you are afraid of, go after it. See it there? So next one we have is Milton Hershey. So the owner of the world famous Hershey's chocolate started out as a nobody after being fired from an apprenticeship Hershey founded 3 candy businesses, all of which failed. So he fell over 3 times. 3 candy companies that did not survive. As a last attempt, he founded Lancaster Caramel Company, which eventually gave birth to the idea of the Hershey Company. He then envisioned the demand for milk chocolate, and the rest is history. Had a net worth of 10 billion. So my experience has shown me, so this is a quote from him, my experience has shown me that people who are exceptionally good in business aren't so because of what they know, but because of their insatiable need to know more. That's why I said knowledge. Keep acquiring knowledge. You don't, as an entrepreneur, you don't learn to survive if you don't learn more. There is nothing wrong with falling over. It happens to the best of us. So Ariana Huffington, she is the founder of the Huffington Post. Huffington Post is one of the most recognizable names in the online world. Ariana Huffington, who is its founder, had to face 36 rejections from major publishers when she wanted to launch her book, which eventually got published. She's now worth 50 million. Fearlessness is not the absence of fear, it is the mastery of fear. It's about getting up one more time than when we fall down. Again, these are the resounding themes of successful entrepreneurs. It's not about not falling down. It's about getting up when you fall down. Hey, we all know this guy, Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC. So, Colonel Sanders is an example to show that there is no right age to start a business. His now famous fried chicken recipe was rejected 1,000 times before he started KFC at the age of 56. KFC now has franchises in over 18,000 locations around the world. Now, I'm not sure how old this is. At the time, I believe at the time of his death, his net worth was about 3.5 million. We all know that, like, if that was assessed now, his net worth would be ridiculous. One has to, so a famous quote from him, one has to remember that every failure can be a stepping stone to something better. We saw that with Woodman. So Steven Spielberg, director, producer, screenwriter. The University of Southern California rejected Steven Spielberg multiple times for admission to cinematic arts. Wow. Today, he is an award-winning movie director who is famous all over the world. He also became a trustee in the same university. No matter what, the same people that rejected him eventually embraced him. So what does he say? Failure is inevitable. Success is elusive. Meaning you will fall down in that pursuit of success. Success is the tricky part. Failure will happen, but are you willing to get up and keep chasing that ever elusive success? Now, this is someone that I really, really, really like. Oprah Winfrey. She is chairwoman of the OWN network and Harpo Productions. CEO, CCO, author, actress. She does it all. She started as a talk show host. We all know that. So it says, the Queen of Talk Show was once fired from her news reporter job at a local news station. Later, she had a successful following for her daytime talk show, The Oprah Winfrey Show. She now owns a production house and is an inspiration to many women. Net worth of 2.9 billion. So she says, famous quote from her. So go ahead, fall down. The world looks different from the ground. I like that. That's a good one, because again, it's about perception. It is about your perception. How do you perceive the world in front of you? Do you look at the world as glass is half empty, or do you look at the world as half is glass full? So people from the UK will be familiar with this guy, James Dyson, the inventor of the Dyson vacuum cleaner. and founder of Dyson Limited. He's an inventor and founder. So Sir James Dyson is known to have developed the world's first bagless vacuum cleaner. It took him 15 years, his lifetime savings, and 5,126 prototypes that failed before developing the successful bagless prototype. So he could have given up, or he could, every time his prototype failed, he could go back to the drawing board and start again. He now has a net worth of 4.9 billion. So clearly we know he kept getting up and trying again. He says, famous quote from him, "The key to success is failure. Success is made of 99% failure." Wow, love that. Hitan Shah. So he is the co-founder of Quick Sprout Crazy Egg. Now, I'm not familiar with Quick Sprout, but hey, let's find out more. So Hitan Shah, the co-founder of Quick Sprout, has also tasted failure before building a successful business. He once spent $1 million on a web hosting company that never launched, causing them to lose all the money. Famous quote from him, "You make your own luck every single minute of every day." Couldn't agree more. One of the most well-known entrepreneurs in the world. A lot of entrepreneurs aspire to be like him. He is definitely an inspiration. His business approach is unlike any other, and he's done it all. So Richard Branson, who is one of the richest people in the UK, has also seen a couple of failures along the way. He had developed Virgin Cola and Virgin Vodka, both of which failed big. The fact that most people don't recognize these brands says it all. What a lot of people also don't know about Richard Branson is in his early years, in his early career, he was bankrupt. Had to move back in with his, I believe he had to move back in with his mother, and basically start again. Success is not guaranteed, but like Sir James Dyson says, it's elusive and it's made up of 99% failure, but you keep chasing. Business, he says, a famous quote from Richard Branson, "Business opportunities are like buses, there's always another one coming." And that's a good way to look at it. It's this positive attitude that you can have towards life that changes everything for you. If you look at everything as a negative and look at everything as glass half empty, you never grow, you never succeed. There is nothing wrong with falling down. You just have to get up. So last one, Jack Canfield, motivational speaker and author, Chicken Soup for the Soul, has a net worth of 25 million. It says, the author of the famous Chicken Soup for the Soul books faced failures before becoming a successful author. His first book was rejected 144 times and eventually got published. It sold more than 10 million copies around the world. So I would say that, what was that, 145 versions of that book before it, so he probably got his 145th version published. So he revised that book so many times to achieve, well, we are assuming he revised maybe not 145 times, but clearly he had to make changes to get it over the line at some point. But he says, don't worry about failures, worry about the chances you miss when you don't even try. That is a powerful statement, and that reinforces that message that I've been trying to say, that failure does not exist for an entrepreneur. You have opportunities and missed opportunities. The longer you stay on the ground, the more missed opportunities there are. The longer you the entrepreneur network that I am part of is led by a guy called Jeff Lerner. And there was a quote that Jeff put out there, and he basically, it's kind of gone out of my head now. Oh man, this is what happens when you're thinking about other things. But yeah, there was a quote that Jeff, I'm gonna try and remember it, and it's basically reinforcing that message about you either try or you don't try. And that's it. Sorry, it's come back to me. So resourcefulness, it's about resourceful people were not born resourceful. They're just full of resources. So if you really want to become a resourceful person, learn to use the resources around you, learn to connect with the available resources. That's part of the entrepreneurial skill that you need to develop. Before we go, let me give you a few scriptural references, because you know that is my foundation. I am a believer, and I believe that there is scripture that can always encourage you to grow and move forward. So first one being 1 Peter 1:6. So be truly glad. There is wonderful joy ahead, even though you must endure many trials for a little while. Keep going, keep pushing. Psalms 138 verse 8. The Lord will work out his plans for my life. For your faithful love, O Lord, endures forever. Don't abandon me, for you made me. If you believe you were fearfully and wonderfully created, there is a purpose for you, there is something that you were created to do, then don't give up. When you fall over, that's not the end. Get back up and keep going, because you will achieve what you were created to do if you endure and keep going after it. Psalm 27:14. Wait patiently for the Lord. Be brave and courageous. Yes, wait patiently for the Lord. Let God act in his time, because his time is the best time. But what you have to do is keep putting in the work, keep enduring, keep chasing, keep working. Never give up, because you don't know when he is going to turn that corner and intervene and and bless the works of your hands. Keep chasing, keep working. Isaiah 40:31. But those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. That is a famous scripture that everyone knows. Please keep your endurance. All these scriptures about endurance, not giving up, not counting yourself out. It's about keeping the faith, keep pushing. Psalm 23:1. I'm gonna do two together. Psalm 23:1. We're gonna skip a couple of verses and we're gonna do Psalm 23:4. So the Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. Why? Because God will give us everything that we need. He's always said it. It's promised in his word that he will take care of everything that we need. It says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and everything shall be added onto you. Psalm 23:4. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, because we will walk through dark valleys as entrepreneurs. It is a lonely and painful journey sometimes. But hey, trust this word. It says, even when I walk through, it says, even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid. For you are close beside me. Your rod and your staff protect me and comfort me. So there's another one, Romans 5:3. We can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help develop us. Man, I messed that one up. So I might have to edit that out. Romans 5:3, we can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop endurance. And then 5:4 says, and endurance develops strength and character strengthens our confident hope of salvation. So keep developing that endurance. John 15:7. But if you remain in me and my words remain in you, you may ask me for anything you want and it will be granted. Trust in the Lord. He can make all your dreams come true. Just hold on to him and keep the faith. James 1:3. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. You require faith and you require endurance to get to your end goal. So those are scriptures that I believe you can meditate on. Let them sink into you. Sit on them and let them just bring them to your remembrance when you need them. When you're feeling dark and weary, when you're feeling low, when you're feeling weak, when you feel like giving up, remember these scriptures to renew your strength and to build your endurance, because guess what? It is a marathon, this entrepreneurial game, but it will be worth it. If you believe that you are pursuing your purpose and what you were created to do, then don't give up. Keep going, because it will. I promise you, it will be worth it. Anyway, thank you for tuning back into the Imperfectly Human podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this first episode. Let me know in the comments how you feel about just having me by myself. Let me know how you feel about me talking about my entrepreneurial journey. Let me know how you feel about failure and failings and falling down, however you may term it, however you may define it. Give me, shout out in the comments. Let me know. And yeah, I look forward to speaking to you next week, talking to you about another topic in this entrepreneurial journey. As I said, do not forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you are watching this on YouTube, please hit that like button, because that like button gives me the information that I need. It gives me those numbers, those analytical numbers that allow me to determine what sort of content you guys like to see. So it is imperative that you hit that like button. It also allows Facebook, what am I talking about Facebook? It also allows YouTube to process that information and present this content to people who would appreciate this content. So please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post. I will continue to do this. There are 13 seasons man, I am messing up all the words. There are 13 episodes in this season of the Imperfectly Human podcast, and I promise you the break between season 2 and season 3 will not be that long. I'm hoping to keep producing as much content and keep encouraging you, and I will share everything that I learn on my journey with you as I go through it. So be encouraged, keep your head up, keep the faith, keep doing what you're doing. And I will see you next week on another episode of the Imperfectly Human podcast. Peace.